Hello, welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia, episode 208. I'm your host, Jacob Rush. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Josh and Chris. And we are back, and we are playing with power. There is no Ryan tonight. We booted him off. We voted him off the island. Thank goodness we don't need him here. Nah, just kidding. Ryan, I think our crowd's used to me always dissing who's ever not on the show. It's just kind of what I do. But Ryan's just sick, I guess. Sick of us, we're sick of him, whatever. We're better off without him, right? No, we love you, Ryan. Get better. Guys, how you doing?
Doing well. It's been a very good few days. How about you?
Good. Myself, it's been fine in general. It's just been busy. Go, go, go. It just seems like life never stops. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if I'm running in circles or if I'm actually going somewhere, but I'm good in general. Josh, what about you?
Yeah, I guess not all that exciting here. Kind of the same old stuff. Still looking to make some things happen and get out of the mundane, same old kind of stuff here eventually. Yeah. Spinning my wheels a little bit, maybe.
We all could do it at some point, I think, but good. Today's episode is going to be a little different. Obviously, we're not going to talk about like a game or a character. We want to start doing this regularly in the show. Every once in a while, we're just going to start talking about like news that's happening in the world more often. Not the world, but the world of Nintendo in general and gaming. But we want to just touch on what's been going on. A lot's happened the last 2 to 3 weeks. It seems like every week I'm now like, all right, what's the big news of this week? 1 week it's Hyrule Warriors. The week before that it was Mario 35th, and then it's a third-party developer direct that was actually good, and this week it's not Nintendo, it's the industry, and it's been interesting. And next week we will have a follow-up to Hyrule Warriors, won't we?
Yeah, and on the 26th, actually, on Saturday.
Oh, this
upcoming Saturday, yep.
Oh, holy guacamole, wow.
Wait, okay. That's when the Hyrule Warriors sequel comes out?
No.
It doesn't come... They're going to have, like, a more indirect depth, like, look at the game. Okay. Because it's going to be showed up at, like, the Tokyo Game Show, so...
I forgot that was still happening.
Which is happening... Great. Yeah, it's happening like tomorrow, okay. I think. So, and it's like a 3-day event. I'm kind of surprised it's happening. It's basically like an E3 thing, for Japan. But, so they're going to show it off more, and they'll have more details for Nintendo fans in general. So, which will be interesting and cool to see. But yeah, that's what we're doing, and we're going to obviously the show's about a show about nostalgia, and due to the fact that 3DS was basically put to rest last week. Other shows have talked about it and social media, and we felt like, well, we should talk about it. We've talked about the 3DS, obviously, a whole dedicated episode to it, but we just wanted to, touch base about it and just some of our original memories with it as we kind of look back on its life and what it did, and where Nintendo's going still in the handheld market. But in general, guys, yeah, let's have at it. A lot has happened over the last few weeks, and we've already talked about Mario. We had a Mario Direct. You guys been playing Mario All Stars? Josh, we all know you've like already beaten all 3 games.
No. So to clarify on mine, I did 100% Mario 64 again in 3 days, I think this time, which I think is a record for me. Actually, it's kind of almost less than that, but well, I don't know, it's 3. But yeah, I've 100% of that one before, probably like 5 times. So that wasn't too bad. Yeah. And I played the heck out of it. Everywhere I went, I kind of had it. I just indulged. Yeah. And since then, I jumped into Sunshine. I was really wanting to get through it because I haven't played Sunshine in a long time. I fully completed all these in the past, but Sunshine's the one like I haven't played in a long time. And I'm digging it. I'm back into that for several hours already when I get a chance.
Did you get it, Chris?
Yeah, I picked it up on launch day, and I'm happy that I have it, especially the physical version. And I love all three of those games for very different reasons and in very different ways. Mario Sunshine is one of my first games ever, and
Nice.
I have so much nostalgia for it. I really hope that they bring back that location or that setting and environment. I just love Isle Delfino. And Mario 64 is pretty new to me. I only got into like a few stages growing up, and because I never had it, I only played like my friend's version of it. But I have so much going on right now. I wish I had more time for games, so it's something I'm going to get to probably during like winter break or something like that. And I actually just shipped out my left Joy-Con. I finally got Joy-Con drift, and I don't even use my Joy-Cons. I use my Pro Controller. So one day I started using it again, and I'm like, why do I have drift? I don't use this. So
I just got back 4 Joy-Con myself actually yesterday.
Oh, good. I was going to ask you
yeah.
about that because I know you shipped it out a while ago.
It took like over a month, but now my wife's are drifting, so those two need to go out. But yeah, so we've had 6 with drift. 4 of them are fixed for now.
Crazy. So
do they still honor that? Are they still honoring what they said about like refunding or just fixing it for free and sending it back?
Yeah.
It's actually when you call them or go online about it, like to set up a repair, like the first thing they have is like, if you have Joy-Con drift, here's what you got to do. So they're very well aware of it. And it wasn't a hassle to get this order in place. So I'm glad that things are up and running again. Hopefully I get it back pretty soon because I think I would play the 3D All-Stars game if I had the Joy-Con, because I just got a bonfire with my family, and so I was hoping to like play, the Mario 3D All-Stars collection by the fire, have like a nice autumn time, but I can't do that, so I'll have to settle for like Luigi's Mansion in my room or something, but yeah.
I have a couple. My favorite set was the neon green and pink. I got that, and I got that when I got Yooka-Laylee for Christmas that year. That was like my new set, and like it was great. I love the way the colors look, but I haven't been able to use them because my green just completely just goes off the rails. I mean, it was around this time last year is when I had to get I got the purple and orange. I remember buying them on a work trip, and they just came out. So yeah, I need to send that and my original blue one off. My blue one sucks. I mean, it sucked from launch. There's something wrong with the minus button. Like I could never I remember like having to like press it really, really, really hard. Like I was going to break it just for it to even like respond. It's so weird. But I want to know why we don't ever have why we can't choose our own colors. Like Japan can.
Wait, really?
Like I would love.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can go on their website and they can mix and match colors and order them that way.
I mean, I have my ideal setup. I didn't want to switch until I could get classic dark red, and I got that with the Mario Odyssey bundle. So I got the game that I wanted. I got the Joy-Con colors that I wanted, and I have very little desire, to be honest, to get more Joy-Cons. I think they all look amazing. Like I really want that, the yellow and the blue ones. Those look so cool. It's like a nice summer combination, and the orange and purple is so cool. But I don't know. I just like red, classic Nintendo, and classic Mario colors.
I love those red ones that you're talking about. Of course, they just came in the Odyssey bundle. I think they sold them individually, but they're like $70 or $80 on their own. So it's not really something I'm just going to go out and buy when I don't really need another set right now. And I use the Pro Controller constantly anyway. I love the Pro Controller for the Switch, and I don't do a whole lot of handheld. So I don't know if I don't know if I ever see me dropping that much money for another set.
Same, yeah. It would be nice, but for that price point, I can't start collecting for them because once I start, I have to get them all. But I'm not going to get started. They look great. I appreciate all the colors. I think they all look amazing in their own very unique ways. But I'm happy with my red, and I'm going to stick with that to the end. I think, unless they come out with something
I really
unique.
like the Animal Crossing colors. Those are really
I don't care for like the beige part of it, like the underside of it. It looks nice and good, but like there's just something about that just bugs me. I don't know. I can't see that like aging well. You know, after you have like a white DS Lite and you see it yellow over time, it's just like I don't know. I don't trust these colors, these light colors anymore.
I get you,
but they look nice.
I would still love to just get like a combo. I just don't get it. I mean, this is definitely going down a rabbit hole, but I just don't understand why it can't be that much money to just make a color set of the rainbow and let people pick and choose how they want to mix and match it. Like it should just be a standard on their website. Hey, you want to order your own combo? Order it directly from us, and you can order it that way. And here you go. I don't know. Maybe they just like to put it in a pretty packaged box, I guess, and because like they do advertise it in like the green and pink and stuff. But,
yeah, Apple does that now.
How do we get on Joy-Cons?
Apple does that with the Apple Watch. Like you can pick whatever color case you want with whatever band you want. So it's possible.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I actually did that last week. I got a new Apple Watch and picked the case and band that I want, and came in like a nice little package. So hopefully Nintendo could do that too. But like we said, I think we're all pretty set with our colors. So.
With one thing that I wish that Nintendo would adopt that like Xbox does is like Xbox, you don't hear me say it very often, but one thing that Xbox does that I do like is that you can just custom create your own controller into the color scheme you want. And like, dude, I would make like a Banjo-Kazooie colored themed Pro controller and just order it, or the Joy-Cons, whatever. Just give me the colors I want and let me customize it.
Yeah, agreed.
Don't know why they don't do that, but whatever. It's
very cool that they have that.
I don't know how we got on controllers, but back to Mario. I don't have Mario 3D. I do have it. My girlfriend bought me 3D All Stars, but she's making me wait till my birthday, which I told her to. I you guys know if you listened to the show in the past, I like to wait for special occasions. I really feel like it really ties the memory. I'll remember on my 30th birthday, I got the Mario 35th anniversary 3D All-Star. That's kind of appropriate. 3D and 30, you know what I'm saying? Getting it for my birthday. And it's I'm looking forward to it. We've been playing Mario 64 on the 64, so I was going to play Mario 64 again, but I decided, nah, I really want to dive into Sunshine. I haven't played it since the GameCube.
Right.
I have like turned it on and like, I don't know, watched a friend play through a level in recent years, but I've not like actually played the game myself, in a long. I don't even know if I 100%ed it back in the day. Most likely I didn't. I did not really do that back in the day as a kid. So I'm really excited to start with Sunshine. I think Sunshine just looks great. I think it does look like a modern Mario game. It's beautiful. It really is. And then Galaxy, honestly, I'm not itching to play it, but it looks fantastic. It does look fantastic. It looks really, really, really good. It looks like it was made for the Switch, like ground up. It looks that good.
One of the reasons I haven't really been too itching to play these games is because I still do play them. I still play Sunshine. I've been playing Sunshine for years now. I still play Galaxy every once in a while. And 64 I just got for the 64 last year. I do play them regularly, but I have to say, even though you guys are familiar with my kind of disappointment in this package, I do have to say they look a lot better than what I expected. Each game looks very crisp and clean. And I also mentioned this before in our chat. I have that HDMI dongle for my GameCube to make the games look good, and it makes Mario Sunshine look really, really good. But I would say in this Switch package, it looks even better. So it is nice to see it look a lot more crisp. But I'm kind of annoyed about the camera controls in Sunshine, how they're inverted. I'm just not used to that. So
I heard about that.
Hopefully I can get used to that. But.
Right.
And 64 too, right? They changed it.
Oh, did they? I don't know. I just know about Sunshine.
That's what Josh said.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of the I forget exactly what parts of it they did. I already completed it and I forget. But playing it when you go to look around, when you'd go into the first person mode to look around, it's like if I have the controller in my hand, I can tell you.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it used to be inverted, I believe, and now it's not. And I believe like the flying controls and things like that were changed too. Because I specifically, either that or it was like where the camera controls for that changed. It messed me up because I remember when I first went in to start flying in this game, I like did a nosedive. And I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Like, I don't know if that just screwed me up. Something in there is not quite the same. And I'm pretty sure they didn't keep the inverted controls for certain parts. And it just feels a little off if you've, played this game for 24 years, wherever we're at now. So...
Just such an odd decision, I think. Like, it's not a big deal, but it's just, like, weird. I don't know.
Yeah, you get used to it, but...
An option.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least give it as an option or something, yeah.
Right, exactly.
So this might be a really dumb question, but since you guys have actually played the games, does the game look... Like, when I watch a video on YouTube comparing, say, 64... to the original, to the newer version, am I seeing directly on YouTube exactly what the game looks like, or is it really a different experience when I put it on my Switch that I'm not going to be able to see really what it looks like, the freshness through a computer screen?
I think it looks a lot better on my TV than it did on YouTube and things like that. Like when I've seen the trailers for it and what have you, I just feel like I'm sort of watching a trailer of the old games, or a virtual console version or something. But I feel like once I got it in there, I don't know if it's the novelty of it or what, but I swear they do look a little bit better than I feel like what you would expect. Chris sort of mentioned that earlier.
I was always hoping. I never really felt like I could understand when someone's like, oh, this is a 1080, 60 frame per second game, and I'm watching it on my computer. I'm thinking, am I really seeing what they're seeing? Because this is a video through the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like...
Yep.
It's not the same.
Yeah, I was really, as I mentioned before, I was really surprised by how good it looks because, I got the game because, it's a short-term thing that they're having with it. You can't get it past March. And I love these games, so I'm like, all right, might as well get it because I can play them on the go. But when I booted it up, I was just like, oh, this actually looks really good and really crisp. And like I said before, nice. I have the HDMI thing with Sunshine, and it looks noticeably better. And Galaxy does too. Galaxy looks a lot better now that I think of it. And that's the one I was expecting to not be that impressed by. And I don't know. I think they turned up the saturation or something. Like the colors are just so vivid in that one. And I also have an HDMI cable for my Wii, and it looks way better than that. And it already looked good. So, it's not going to blow your mind, but it's just nice that it does look a lot nicer than what I expected.
I noticed,
that's great.
For one thing, I noticed like in 64. Now, granted, like the sign in the courtyard that supposedly says hell is real and all that, still blurry. But certain things like if you remember the pictures, like the actual artwork of the booze in the merry-go-round, or the big Bowser sliding puzzle on is it Lava Lethal Halal Land, whatever. All of that looks so much clearer than I remember it being. Like where the lines used to almost be kind of fuzzy. So, it's just played out. It almost just looks like a really high quality, maybe a high quality JPEG, but it looks a lot better than it used to.
Right.
I bet I'm going to be blown away because we're literally playing Mario 64 right now at Lindsay's apartment on her flat screen TV through a 64. So you can imagine it's just going to blow me away.
64 and flat screens doesn't look too high because I've been playing Diddy Kong Racing on one not too long ago, and it's a little rough on it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing my N64 on my somewhat big HD TV, and a lot of people complain about how the N64 looks with their native chords, and it's not super crisp, but I think it's doable. I don't really mind it too much. It's a little rough, but I don't know. But yeah, it's a very noticeable difference with 64. You can tell, these are early 90s graphics. It's very jagged, but there's something charming about that to me, and it kind of, I don't know, makes it a little
clean jagginess.
Exactly. That's a good way of putting it. Yep. So very pleasantly surprised by that, but I am a little weirded out by the N64. What am I saying? Mario 64 camera controls. That's going to take some getting used to because I started playing games after Mario 64, so this is like going way back for me to a camera control system I'm just not used to, especially with a Switch controller.
Yeah, that's
it'll be doable.
It's not the C buttons. You got to remember they were made for those buttons, and it was like 1996, so it does feel a little weird on this stick, especially if you go from Sunshine or Galaxy backwards. It really doesn't feel well.
Exactly, yeah, because Mario Sunshine, like, the camera controls on that one were, like, perfect. Like, I loved that. Yeah. I just liked looking around in Mario Sunshine. I spent, like, most of my time just looking around in that game. So I can't do that in 64, and I won't be.
No.
Yeah. Still.
So... outside of Mario, obviously Mario came out. It's a big deal. I'm gonna come to the party once everyone's already left, so that kind of sucks, but it'll be fine. What are you gonna say, Josh?
I'm sorry. Before we jump off of Mario, I did almost forget something. Those pins. Did you guys? I know. I guess I know Jacob's answer, but Chris, I'm trying to remember what you said because we're in a group message. We have a lot of people jumping around in there. Did you have any luck with those? I actually managed to get them. I think as soon as they went up. I still had to like refresh for about 20 minutes, but it seems like they're good to go.
No, I don't. I'm trying to forget about it because I really think they look amazing. But I did all the missions and stuff. But by the time I was able to order them, and it says like add to cart, and I was able to add it to my cart, but I never got a promo code, so I can't proceed with the purchase, for like paying for shipping or whatever. So I think I'm just going to accept it and move on. Like I have enough gaming merchandise, so I'm not going to cry about it, but it would be nice to have. And I'm glad that you guys got it.
I mean, I hope that they were kind of restock these things. I hope they really didn't think that only a limited amount of people would like get it. And I mean, so many people pre-ordered the game. Look how many people pre-ordered it. Like, get to making more, Nintendo. Come on.
Yep.
I mean,
like,
don't give us a step thing to do.
You're not even getting it till your birthday, you know.
Is there a Mario Sunshine pin
Whatever.
in that collection?
In the second wave, there will be. That was the first wave. There's 2 waves.
Crap. Okay.
So yeah, I said crap. I was like, yes, I win. I got it. Woo! No, there's another wave.
Oh, jeez. All right. If I get it, great. If I don't,
anyways,
it's fine.
So we got a bunch of stuff, a lot of news. Like we said earlier, it seemed like for most of the year there was just nothing. We just kind of got used to having nothing. We just made it through every single week, 1 week at a time, and then now I'm just kind of expecting more news to drop. Like what's going to be the hot topic this week, and we had Josh and I. Or it was Josh and I or Chris and I. We talked about this third partner direct last time, and we're getting a bunch of games. The big one was Ori coming to the Switch, the Ori sequel, and then like this big collector's edition, and just a handful of games. What do you guys think about that direct? And I think we're going to get another one later this year. They've gotten better each time, I will say. Did this kind of give you more hype for future directs?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I saw it. I haven't seen it yet, mostly because I already know what's in it. But I remember I woke up and I was looking at my phone and I was looking at the group text and I was like trying to catch up on like what everyone was saying. And someone said like, they were talking about Ori, and I was like, oh, an Ori collection would be so awesome. And I was just like browsing the internet, and I was like, oh god, there's an Ori collection available. So I paid $150 or so, not including shipping and tax and all that, for the Ori collection. I don't care about anything else that's in that package besides the games, but I don't care.
You want to mail me the rest of the box?
Honestly, like I don't have room for this stuff, so I might just do that.
Split it up, I'll take a little, you take a little.
Hey, maybe.
I asked first.
I'll wait for your birthdays or something. But
hey, mine's coming up.
Well, you
just
better hope they
saying,
ship
wink,
it soon.
You missed mine.
I don't
Yeah,
even know
right.
when it's coming, to be
I
honest.
definitely
But
want it.
yeah, I needed those games. I needed them in a physical version. It's crazy that Microsoft is bringing their games to a Nintendo system. I still can't get over that, and I still can't get over
Once
Banjo
again.
Kazooie and like all these partnerships that are happening. I love it. I'm taking advantage of all of it. I don't
Yeah.
really remember anything else that was announced, but that's the one I'm crazy about, and I will
Oh, yeah.
have you guys share your thoughts because that's really all I care about.
I mean, that was the big one for me, was Ori. And that Wonderland game looked really cool. It kind of reminded me of like a Nintendo 64 3D platformer game. You know,
exactly.
like, I apparently this game's a big deal. A lot of people love this game, but I mean, I won't lie. Like, I feel like the way the characters move kind of look cheap. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, they kind of look stiff as they walk around. And but I don't know. It looked fun. It looked like a 64 revisit, and I won it. I think I'll get that game. A lot of people said this game looked terrible, but that Sniper 4 game, I actually thought it impressed me. I saw it. I was like, man. I was like, kind of gives me like GoldenEye vibes. Like, I'm sure. Because I don't play many shooters, you know. Every once in a while, I would like to play a shooter, and I'm due for a shooter. I really am. I have not played a shooter. When was the last time I played a shooter game like that? Might have been like on the Wii or something like that. I haven't. Because I got that GoldenEye remake, which was crap for the Wii. It was
No, it
garbage.
was fine. It was fine.
Not fine. Blemish the name of GoldenEye. I wanted a GoldenEye legit HD remake from the ground, same game, and that game like had elements of the original, but then they like just did all these different things, and like that's not what people wanted. People just wanted the same game, just HDified.
That sounds
updated,
boring.
You know.
I wanted it modernized. I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't really grow up with GoldenEye. I kind of got my N64 after that. And I think I went to like a few, birthday parties, sleepover parties where that was being played, but I didn't have it, so I don't have too much nostalgia for it. And
It was a Christmas game, man.
yeah, but I just it seems like it hasn't aged too well. It seems like a lot of shooters that have come out since kind of done some things a little better.
Hasn't, but kind of like what we want Mario 64. Everyone wants Nintendo just to remake the same game. It's the same environment. Nothing changes, but they just literally make it look like Odyssey. I would love to get GoldenEye to look like a modern shooter, but the same levels. Like, don't change it up. And they didn't do that with that GoldenEye. And I don't know why we're talking about GoldenEye on the Wii. We're talking about Sniper.
Yeah, sorry.
4. No, you're fine. Anyways, it kind of reminded me. I got some old James Bond feels. I'm sure this game is nothing like James Bond, so it kind of piqued my interest a little bit. That boxing game, right after we talked about Wii Fit, I was totally like, I was like, dude, that literally came out like the next day after we had the
Just our luck.
I was like, man, I'm actually tempted to get that.
I don't know anything about the original
and-
though. Like, do you know if the original was any good? Because I think
The boxing game, I
think
no clue.
Nintendo published
Apparently
it.
it sold well. Yeah, I think it sold over like 1 million
Great.
copies. So there's a sequel to it and it's better. So I really might get that game. Side note, I had I live like right around the corner from a Super Target here in Fishers, and they like were overstocked. They had like almost like 10 or 12 Ring Fit Adventures, like the box.
Wow.
And I literally had one in my hands, and I just couldn't pull the trigger. I'm just like, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I can't be buying this expensive game, But I really wanted to. I really did.
It's great.
Besides that, that's really that's really kind of what I got most out of it. The Monster Hunter stuff was big, and I may get that Monster Hunter Stories too. That might be. I've never really been into Monster Hunter. I've tried. I don't like the way that how slow the characters tend to move. They're so chuggy. I never enjoyed that, and Hunters 2 seems like it could be more of my cup of tea to get me into that franchise. But outside of that, that's really what I got out of it. It was very impressive, direct. I really enjoyed it. Now, Josh, you're chomping at the bit here. What do you want? What did you get out of it, I guess?
Oh, well, I guess I'll start just kind of going off of what comes first to memory. Like you said, that Wonderland game I've kind of had my eye on before this direct. I had seen the trailer for it before. I believe, and I could be wrong on exactly who is working on it. I'm wanting to say Yuji Naka is working on it. I could be completely off on that. Somebody used to be part of Sonic Team and all of that sort of thing. So that's why that one character looks a lot like Knights, if you haven't noticed.
Yep.
So that's all cool. I'm cool with that. Like you all said, sort of with the characters and things, I don't really know what the proper term is for it. Some of it looks maybe a little too chibi or something for my taste. It's not really my thing, but the rest of it looks pretty cool. I'm interested. I'll definitely keep my eye on it. Now, of course, Ori I love. I've played the first one. I played it on Xbox and Switch, beat it on the Switch. Feels a lot better on the Switch, actually, than it does on the Xbox. Didn't
great.
beat it on the Xbox, but I love the controller so much better. Like the D-pad especially is I think probably the biggest difference on the Switch. And that D-pad on the Xbox controller just sucks.
Okay.
So I'm glad this second game finally came over, but I can't really afford it at the moment. It is $30 just digitally, but yeah, I'm definitely planning on picking that up when I get the chance because that's a really good series. Very pretty, good stories. What else was there? Now, Monster Hunter is another one, kind of like Jacob. I've never really got into it. There was one. I was like, it was like $5. I feel like Monster Hunter 3 maybe or something on the Wii U, and I got it for like super cheap a few years ago. And I tried it, but I never got hardly anywhere. Like I didn't understand what I was doing, and I was like, I want to like it, and I almost want to give it another chance. But I think I'd need somebody who knows what they're doing to like sit there with me. So I was like, I don't know what to pick out of these characters. I'm moving really slow. There's a loading screen every 2 seconds. I've hit this thing 500 times. Why is it not dead? I think I'm just not getting something. But it still looked cool. I hope it does well. Maybe I'll change my mind on that. The stories thing, I don't know as well. It just didn't look like my kind of style, maybe. But the bigger game, can't remember the name of it now.
Rise, I think.
Right, yeah, something like that. Looked pretty interesting. There was one other thing, and I completely forgot. But really, all in all, with that partner direct, I feel like that's kind of what I've wanted out of those. Where the other ones, I feel like were not very good. There was that one that had like 3 or 4 games, and it was like that goofy looking wrestling game.
Oh right. Yeah.
And there was like 2 other things, and there was just nothing that like meant anything to anybody hardly. But this one I feel like had some good meat to it.
Yeah. Those first 2 partners directs kind of felt like something that if this was like a full-on direct, that they would have been like the side.
Yeah, that's like the
fast-paced games.
That's like I gotta pee in this 45-minute direct. I'll be right back. And that's the little break time.
Basically.
Well, guys, what kind of game is the Stories, Monster Hunter Stories? I have no idea what it is, but I've heard good things about the first one.
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Okay.
From what Traven told me, because he's big into Monster Hunter, I mean, it's basically like Pokemon. You're just riding monsters, and you can collect other monsters, and they're just big, and you fight them. You have to fight. I don't know. It's very similar to Pokemon, basically, but it's like your monster can take on, instead of being restricted to one type, your Pokemon, your monster can like morph into other types of monsters. So like if you had like a fire breathing monster, you could essentially, it can develop like water powers, like if you had a Charizard and you like the monsters you fight, they acquire their abilities. So if I had a Charizard and I fought a Blastoise and won, I could start to acquire and turn Charizard into like a water or fire dragon type of thing. So very similar. That's the little
Right.
I know. Other than that, it looks good.
Like you guys said, like Monster Hunter looks like it's a great franchise. It seems like a very cool world, and I like the idea of it. But it just seems a little slow, and there's a lot of depth to it, which I appreciate. I think it's great, but it's just like, it's such a commitment that I can't.
Yeah.
I don't have time for that, and it seems great, and I hope people love it, and I'm glad people love it, but it's not for me at this point in time. But I really do hope that I get into it, because I know that there's so much potential there. So hopefully it clicks with us one day, because I just am jonesing to give this series a try, because I know there's a lot of quality there. But another game that was brought up in this direct apparently is something called Hades. I don't know if you guys have heard of it ever since. This isn't really my type of game, at least not at the moment. But I remember I went online. I was on my Switch, the other day, a little bit after this direct came out, and I saw a bunch of my friends playing Hades. I'm like, why is everyone playing this like random game I never heard about? But apparently, it's like the makers of these other games that are popular, like Bastion and Transistor, I think they're called. I still don't really understand what kind of games they are, although secretly I do have Transistor. I haven't played it yet.
They're dungeon crawlers.
Okay.
I think they're like Diablo.
Okay.
And
That's
that
cool.
is Diablo dungeon crawler.
Okay. I mean, they look great.
Yeah,
I've seen like screenshots of them, and
Could be wrong.
they seem pretty cool. But I don't know. A lot of people seem to like Hades, so I'm glad that that's on Switch. And I love that everything is coming to Switch. That was the initial initiative when Switch came out. Everyone's just like, bring it to Switch, and it's happening. Like Xbox games are now on Switch. It's crazy.
Was this the one? Is this where they announced the co-op Goose update, or was this somewhere else? Maybe I'm getting that confused.
That was the different one. Yeah, that was like
Ignore
an
me.
earlier one.
Yeah. But hopefully I get into Hades
we
and
usually
Bastion and those other types of games. It seems like they also have a lot of potential and are very well loved. So, I mean, it wasn't really a direct for me, but I'm glad Ori was there, and some other things seemed great for other people. So, not too bad. Not the best, but not too bad.
I'm just glad it had content, because the first two were just such letdowns. It's just like, what are you doing, Nintendo? And now it just felt like there was some meat to it, like those are big hitters. It was just one of those where, because we've had directs in the past where like they like aimed right at us, and there's directs like, oh, that was good, but it just wasn't for me. And I'm just glad we had a real direct for once, even though it was third party stuff. It's nice to have that. I still think we're going to get a mainline Nintendo Direct. I really do. I mean, the fact that we can talk about this with news like Kirby Fighters 2 literally just dropped today. I mean, this was not announced. This was not told. It was discovered by GameXplain, and they just dropped it. And they didn't even... I don't even think there's a tweet about it.
There is.
Like,
when we started recording, they tweeted.
so... Wow. And it's 10 p.m. EST right now. So, it's insane. Like, I just feel like there's all these little mistakes that keep happening. I don't know.
It's weird.
You can't blame it on COVID. I'm sorry. I just think it's crappy communication.
Yeah.
Whoever's in charge of communication, they need to be talked to. Because I'm not saying fired. Give them some chances here. But like, come on. I had a hunch that this last direct was going to be bigger when they actually tweeted it out the day before.
Yeah.
They hadn't been doing that. Like, they had been like, here you go, here's a direct, partner direct, 5 minutes long. I don't know, things have just not been consistent with Nintendo, and I don't know, man. So I hope we get one more big direct. I really am kind of hoping for that. People keep saying Hyrule Warriors, the sequel, the prequel to Breath of the Wild, is our big holiday game. I don't know about you guys, but even though I'm going to get it for Christmas and I am excited about it, I feel like that's not big enough. Like, it's just telling a story that we already know. It's giving us details about it and a fun gameplay, but I feel like we're missing that first hands-on, created in the House of Nintendo game, which we always get every year.
Well, it's
with
a
it
very...
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. No, you can go first, Josh. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, with that game coming out the same... That and Pikmin 3, both in November, I don't know if I see them throwing something new out there, at least not in November, unless they have some kind of,
Pikmin's in October.
Is it October?
Yeah, it's the October game.
Okay, I'm wrong. But I still just don't know, along with the Mario release recently and things like that. I know it's September, but I just don't know if I see another big new title coming out the same time that is at this point. I could be wrong, but with all the like random tweets and things like that, I don't even know if I see another direct unless it's like another partners direct.
They did say there would be another one this year, the partners.
Yeah. So me personally, I think we've pretty much seen everything we're getting the rest of this year. We might see something else little, like not the Fighters game that just came out, the Kirby one, but stuff like that maybe. I don't think we're getting anything huge. I don't think we're getting like an Odyssey 2 or what have you by the end of the year.
I think the reason why their communication has been so scattered is because they're probably just trying to stay relevant in everyone's minds and kind of space out the little announcements that they have. Or, some are little, some are medium sized, some are pretty big. So I think they're trying to space it out because we're entering a new generation in just a couple months. Right. So they need to still be on everyone's mind and announce something just to have people talking and not really forget about them and forget about the Switch in general. So I think that's my thinking. But the Mario 3D All-Stars game, that was supposed to come out earlier this year. There's a lot of evidence that shows that it was supposed to come out like around June time. So obviously with everything going on in the world, that had to get pushed back, which is very understandable. So I don't know if they just don't know what's going to be arriving before the end of the year. If they're able to have things published digitally or physically. There's a lot of unknowns still, and every day is different. With what people are able to do, work-wise and legally and stuff like that. So I think they're just waiting until something is ready to be announced and ready to be released, and then they'll let us know. I think they're just trying to be safe about it because there's, we're living in a pretty uncertain time at the moment. So, yeah.
That's an interesting thought process that because Paper Mario just dropped out of nowhere, right. Hey, here's the game, and it's coming out next month in a couple weeks basically, and it's just okay. And then they gave us a direct about that game, and honestly I could see that happening. Like we talk about that one more game, right. I really could see the next gen systems drop for their holiday thing in November, and then Nintendo's like, oh, hey, here's a little direct, and it's like, oh, what? You were working on this 2D Metroid game and, whatever, this whole time, and here's the trailer, and whatever, it comes out December 15th. I don't know. They most likely wouldn't, but they could. The way things have gone this year, it's 2020, anything can happen.
And that's basically, set your expectations... Yeah, maybe.
Sequel.
Set your expectations accordingly, because if 2020 has taught me anything, is that you never know. Anything can happen. Maybe we do have another huge game ahead of us before the end of the year, but I don't know. I'm expecting the unexpected. So if we don't get anything else, that's fine. I'm happy enough with what we have. I don't even have time to play anything. And but if we get something else that's pretty big, I wouldn't put it past them to announce it and release it, especially with a new generation coming up. So I do hope that happens, but I'll stick with what we have for now, and we'll see.
Talking more about this, we can kind of connects to our Mario collection as well, the games. They used... I learned it came out that they used emulation for these games, and I guess the Galaxy one was partial code and partial whatever emulation. Makes me want they had to build a system to emulate games. They didn't just do that for these games, and it opens up the gate to thinking well, are they going to start HDifying and just emulating and releasing them in digital packages? Old GameCube games and even 64 games. 64 we had in the Wii and the Wii U, and they could release more than what they did, of course, and I hope they do. But the really interesting one is GameCube. And one thing I got to say too, and it brings back into the Xbox. Talk about they're sharing the relationship. There was a list of games that was I don't know. I just heard this in the Nintendo Dads last week where they talked about there was a list of games that had the code in the like for the emulator that was used for the Mario games, had like code of other 64 games that had been put in there, and one of them was Perfect Dark. And I'm thinking, how could Nintendo do that when that game belongs to Rare? I'm just speculating. I don't know anything, but could the Xbox relationship and 64 emulation be bringing Xbox-owned 64 games to the Switch in an eShop format? Well, I mean, could we see Banjo-Kazooie being digitally downloadable and bought for $20 on the eShop?
With Rare in particular, Perfect Dark and Banjo-Kazooie both had sort of an HD remake already on the Xbox 360 and, of course, on the Xbox One with Rare Replay. So really, that would almost be kind of easy because they already look a little bit better in different departments and things like that. So that maybe we're getting those ports, or those ported, so to speak.
I mean, yeah, with the partnership that they have right now, I wouldn't put. I think anything is possible. If Banjo-Kazooie can be in Super Smash Brothers, if we can get Ori and the Will of the Wisps out at the end of a direct immediately, anything can happen, which is so awesome to say because I think all of us have been wanting to say that for ages now, ever since Rare got bought out. And
Decades,
it's so cool to see this partnership exist, and I hope it continues forever. I forgot what we were talking about. I'm sorry. But
emulation, basically focusing on 64 and GameCube.
When it comes to GameCube games being on Switch, my number one concern was how are they going to do that with games that were designed around the GameCube controller? And the number one game that was basically designed around the GameCube controller, I would argue, is Super Mario Sunshine. And that's now on the Switch. If they don't have a problem bringing Super Mario Sunshine to the Switch, which I honestly never really expected, I think that they are more than willing to bring GameCube games to the Switch. Will it happen? Who knows? They're Nintendo. They're weird and a little slow about these things. But
they do what
you never know.
Is obvious. They don't do what's obvious.
You're right. Exactly. And I'm just really hoping and curious if they're actually going to bring a Metroid Prime trilogy before the release of Metroid Prime 4, because that would be a perfect marketing tool. Everyone wants it.
Yep.
I think it'll sell just fine. I know Metroid doesn't sell the best, but I think Metroid Prime trilogy, especially with the Switch install base, I think that's what it's called, with the Switch install base being so high, I think it'll sell just fine. They just port over these amazing games and we'll buy it. We did it with Mario 3D All-Stars, and it's a pretty bare-bones package. So I think there's a lot of hope for GameCube games. So we'll see what happens. I don't know.
There's a handful of GameCube games that I own that I just haven't touched since the GameCube days, and I would love to death to just get an HD-ified Star Fox Dinosaur Planet or Star Fox Assault. We haven't had a quality Star Fox game in forever, and I would just give them that HD update like they did Sunshine, and I could play those games on my Switch, on the go, or on my TV. Oh my gosh. The GameCube, that era was such... the graphics, to me, that from 64 and PlayStation to PS2, GameCube, to me, that was the biggest graphical jump Nintendo had ever made. In my opinion,
I think from Super Nintendo to 64 was a lot bigger, but it was still massive from 64 to GameCube.
But I mean, I guess in a 3D sense,
right?
You went from looking like a straight up polygon to looking like a whole smoothed out 3D model. What we always kind of in our brains think Mario 64 looked like is what he looked like on Sunshine, and. So there's just so many good games, and we don't need that Paper Mario Thousand Year Door HD remaster. Just put it through the emulation system, and bam, release it down for $20, and there you go. So many good things.
I mean, what's been really weird and interesting and cool but so strange is how there's been like these weird ports from the N64 on Switch, like Turok. Why is Turok and Turok
Right.
2 on the Switch? I'm
Yes.
fine with it, and it's the first time I've played it, and I actually love Turok. I've been playing that a lot lately,
Yeah.
actually.
I got some nostalgia.
And there's other
for it.
ones on the way too. There's
Yeah,
I
Doom.
forgot what it's called.
What
but
other ones?
Yeah, oh true, Doom 64.
Doom, Star Wars Pod Racer.
Yeah,
There's a couple weird
racing.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's just so weird. So it's just one of those things that make me think that anything could happen, really. And who knows? Maybe we could
Yeah.
see like Tack and the Power of Juju on
Oh,
Switch.
gosh.
One of those
I
random
forgot that existed.
Oh my
like
goodness.
semi hits.
Yeah. Watch the cartoon.
And like some GameCube games that, now that I think of it, have been on the Switch, like Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy. If you guys haven't played Sphinx and the Cursed
Yeah.
Mummy, that's a great game. And they
Cell
were made by
Damage.
the people who used to make Rare games.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right, and I think it makes you wonder. How like the 3D All Stars has limited till March. Well, it makes you kind of wonder. Well, what if they break it off from this All Star package, and then like that's the future? It's like, oh, well, here's Mario 64, $20. Here's Sunshine, $20. Here is Galaxy, $20, and they just start
Galaxy
doing
2.
this. And instead of the Netflix thing for that, like how they've been doing with Super Nintendo and regular Nintendo. You have to be an online member to be able to have access to these individual games, which I would totally do.
I mean, I would do it, but I wouldn't
I mean-
be thrilled about it. I don't like having a subscription attached to games that I
store.
love, but that's just me. Yes.
No, yeah, I don't want a subscription to games I love. I mean, I think that they would sell these as individual packages because they're just much bigger games, and I think that they could make more money. We're dumb. We're Nintendo. We'll buy the same game,
Oh yeah.
over and over and over again. Especially you polish it up with some HD looking textures, and oh my gosh, it looks amazing.
Well, I think this Mario 3D All Stars collection is really sending a message to Nintendo saying that hey, we're suckers and we love these games and we'll buy it any way that you are able to give it to us on the Switch.
Yes.
It really does make a huge difference playing something that we used to play at home on our TVs on the go. Even if like we're not really going anywhere right now, but still, it's pretty cool to have it
it's
that
why
way.
I've never played Banjo-Kazooie on a portable
Exactly.
Go system. Like it would be amazing if I could just like hop in the car and someone drives me somewhere and I'm just playing, through Mumbo's Mountain right there
Yep.
in the car.
That's
a
literally
dream.
the dream. Yep.
It is.
Well, the dream to
It's
have
like
it
so
like
cool.
portably and on the home console, however you want.
Yes.
Like we can. That's what I love about the Switch is that you can play whatever you want, however you want. And I want to play Banjo Kazooie, and I want to play it wherever I want.
See, we
So-
don't ask for much.
Yeah.
No,
But, I
it
mean-
is great. Like I was playing Mario Sunshine at the house, and then I wasn't done and with my in-laws, so I played Mario Sunshine on their couch. It's my same
That's
file.
cool.
We could carry with you anywhere. I know we're just kind of going off on how great the Switch is, but these old games that used to be tied to your old big screen Sierra TV thing too. Now you can kind of walk around anywhere with.
Yeah, I mean it's just crazy when you take a step back and look at the reality that we live in right now. We have Xbox games on a Nintendo device, and this Nintendo device allows us to play any game that's available in whatever way we want on the TV, on the go. We can, give a friend a controller. We could, I was playing games with my friend on the train, like these HD games, and it's just so cool. It's just such a cool reality to wake up to every day. And I just hope that they fulfill its full potential, because I hate when they have a system that has so much potential and it's not fully realized. Like I feel like there could have been a little bit more done with the GameCube, a little bit more done with the 3DS. So I hope that the Switch reaches its true potential. And honestly, it's like pretty much almost at its full potential. Like everything's on Switch and I love it.
It's awesome, And speaking of like Microsoft, and I think that's kind of a good segue here. Microsoft and the relationship that they have with Nintendo about sharing stuff. Well, a big move was made. Getting to, almost an hour into the podcast here. A big move was made this week about Microsoft buying Bethesda, and now everything that Bethesda has made, which is it's a huge deal because it's not like some indie developer got bought. It's not like even just a company that makes one good game got bought. This company is a publisher as big as like Activision or Ubisoft, and they got acquired by Microsoft. Microsoft, people have bashed them saying, you don't have exclusives, we're going to Sony. Why would we come to you? And so, like, okay, well, we're going to go buy a bunch of your favorite games. And now the fear is this just strictly Xbox now? Or, with good Phil Spencer leading the helm there, I think Phil Spencer really does care about the industry. He doesn't just care about making Xbox the number one thing out there. That's why they have a subscription. He wants to keep the industry healthy, because if they had the idea of we're just going to start buying up third parties, because they've said that even after this purchase that they are still looking to purchase even more, it can be scary if all of these companies are owned by one giant corporation. You get into monopoly forms, and it hurts the health of the whole gaming industry as a whole. You might say, people might complain like, well, Nintendo has Mario and Zelda and Metroid and Donkey Kong all into themselves. Well, that's because they handmade those games. I mean, they own that, you know. It's going to hurt Nintendo if they can't have games like that are third parties, like Skyrim. And that Nintendo was hurting. That's why the Switch is so healthy, because Switch literally is getting everything, because everything sells like gangbusters on it. So what are your guys' feelings? I mean, I don't think, yes, it's smart for what Xbox is doing, but I think this is really bad, honestly. It could go bad. In the right hands, I think we're okay because it's Phil Spencer, but it could go bad if Phil retires. Who takes over? If he has a different mindset, I want Xbox to be the number one, everyone comes to me platform. It can be really bad, guys, for the industry as a whole. So take it away. What are your thoughts? I mean, Josh, why don't we start with you? I know Josh spoke pretty highly of it in our text group. What do you think, man?
I guess that the highly of it maybe is a little bit. I don't know quite the right term for it, but a little bit of hype out of the big three. Xbox would be my second place. Nintendo obviously being first. That's sort of the untouchable. I really don't care for Sony personally. But with Microsoft, I was glad to see them get a hold of them before somebody like Sony would. Not that Sony would necessarily go out to buy them, but I felt like that was a big win for Microsoft. Bethesda's got a lot of big games. Bethesda's got some I like Doom. Wolfenstein's pretty cool. You got the Fallout series. I don't really play that, but I know a lot of people do. And things like Skyrim, they've got a bunch of not only good shooters, but a few good Western RPGs and things like that. Now that is basically exclusive to them, as far as we know. I don't know who said this, but I do believe somebody said it's sort of a case by case basis on what all will be exclusive. Like if there's I would imagine if there's like a new big title in, say, like Fallout or something like that, it's probably just going to be Xbox. But if there's going to be something like where they just released a bunch of the old Doom games across everything, we would probably still get that kind of stuff on Switch. Now, as a whole, like if it's good or not, I feel like it's maybe a little too early to tell. With Microsoft in particular, and I know this is talking like a decade and a half ago, but like when they bought Rare, I don't feel like it did Rare any favors.
No, they did.
But
exactly what you shouldn't do.
and that's kind of Nintendo's fault. But again, this is 15, 16 years, however many years later.
The industry was different. Yeah,
so it's a different time period. Bethesda was third party; they weren't basically second party to Nintendo or anything like that. So it's a different story. I really don't know what I think of it yet. Maybe because I'm kind of I go back and forth on it. I like that Xbox can have a good win out of it. I do want to see them. I get tired of them sort of getting dominated by Sony. Between the two of them, I sort of still see Nintendo as like its own thing.
Josh just kind of froze up there.
Yeah.
But
can you hear me?
Well, my thoughts on it, I think it's a huge move, obviously, on Microsoft's part. Oh, sorry, Josh. You kind of froze up for a little bit.
Am I still moving?
You were frozen for like...
You're good
you are
now.
now. You were frozen for like 8-10 seconds.
I was just testing the thing. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, we hear you now.
I don't know where I cut off at.
Sorry, I don't remember either. But you made some really good points. I think that this is a really smart move for Microsoft. Bethesda is obviously a super talented company. They've made games that a lot of people love. I'm not too familiar with their catalog, but I can appreciate the work that they've done and appreciate how other people really love their work. This is a little different. This purchase is a little different because, Sony bought Insomniac and some other companies, but those were companies that already made games pretty much just for Sony, as it was, with the exception of like Sunset Overdrive for Insomniac. But
Yeah, it's like if Nintendo would have bought Rare.
Right, exactly. So, like, they're just buying a company that they work well with anyway. It would be like Nintendo buying the Pokemon Company, which, oddly enough, they don't own. So it's like,
Right.
We're just used to their games being on that platform. But this is different because Bethesda makes games for all platforms. So it's going to possibly jeopardize the future of them sharing their IPs with other consoles. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that.
Yeah.
But I am thankful that if any company had to buy them, that it is Microsoft, because obviously Microsoft lately has been playing nice and allowing all these different IPs on all these different systems. And, Phil Spencer, he seems like a really nice guy, and that he cares about the industry and stuff, and maybe he does. But, I think he's, the CEO of Xbox, or like in charge of that stuff. So, he might care about the games business, but he really cares about money. And his approach right now is just very different from what we are used to seeing in the games industry, especially with Xbox Game Pass. So they clearly are going a very, very different route. So overall, I'm just happy that they're making a very aggressive move. I think it's going to help them tremendously. And while I am upset that we are kind of losing the independence of this company, I think it's great that Microsoft is now seen as a formidable competitor. And what we do need is three major companies in this gaming industry, because for a while it seemed like it was pretty much going to be Sony and Nintendo for a while, and I don't know how that would have played out. So I do hope that this keeps Microsoft competitive for the long term. That's clearly what they are looking for. They're looking to develop to have this company develop their games for a very long time, obviously, for $7 or so billion. Right. So, it's a great company. They have great IP, and I hope that it brings Microsoft enough success to keep the entire industry competitive.
So, okay, but what if it just doesn't stop here? I mean, they said they want to buy more. People keep talking about them. Oh, Sega would be the perfect purchase for Microsoft next. I mean, you want Sonic just being exclusive on Xbox all the time now? I mean, Sonic's been shared with Nintendo, and I can tell you it was just amazing when we could get Sonic games on a Nintendo console for the first time back in the day. And I don't know. I just feel like if they... I've listened to so many different discussions from bigger, formats out there, like Game Explain and other people talking, and there's literally, you can only count, I think, there's just a handful of third parties left.
Right.
Major third-party publishers. Activision, Ubisoft, who else?
EA, 2K.
Right.
EA, yeah. I mean, I don't think EA would get bought. Well, maybe. They love.
I mean, nobody thought Bethesda would be bought, so you never know.
True.
Yeah. So that's just what I'm saying is, like, where does it stop? When's enough? Does Nintendo need to go out with a checkbook and say, hey, we've got to lock down at least one of these. Which one of the publishers do we love the most? And if that happens, then Sony's going to do the same thing, and then it's going to suck.
I mean,
because
they don't have unlimited money. They have to be very smart about these types of purchases. $7 billion or so for Bethesda was not something they were just like, yeah, let's just do that. No, they thought very long and hard about that. And it'll probably be their last big purchase. All the companies are going to acquire more. That's just inevitable. That's just how the business works. I don't think we're going to see such massive purchases because we weren't even expecting something like that. So I don't think that's going to be the norm. But I agree with you, Jacob, that this kind of does suck for our future because, it locks down those IPs for that particular company, Microsoft. Right. So the reason why I don't care that much with this purchase is because, truthfully, I don't really care about Bethesda games that much.
Same.
I think they're,
I don't play any.
They're
stuff.
Great, but like for me, I don't care. But if they bought Sega, I would be really annoyed. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not to cut you off, Josh. I'm with you. I don't play Bethesda games. I got Skyrim, and it was like, nah, okay, that's fine, whatever. I didn't even beat it. It's not the fact that I want those games, though. It's the fact that what I have loved about the Switch era is that everything is coming to Nintendo. So people don't look at Nintendo. What I hated in the GameCube days, and in the Wii days especially, was people just viewed Nintendo as they're just this kid system. They just have these little kiddie games. And it's like, no, Nintendo, 64 and Super Nintendo days and the regular Nintendo days, they had everything. And everyone came to Nintendo for that. And I don't want, we've got Bethesda games for the very first time and on the Switch. And it has just opened up this whole new crowd in Nintendo. And if you take that away, you're going to hurt Nintendo. Because at the end of the day, I love Nintendo. It's the only system I ever play. It's the only company I invest into. Call me a freak, but if you have a loyalty, I have a loyalty like to Nintendo. I was just born and raised. I love games because of them. So I care about what this does to Nintendo. You can punch Sony in the gut all you want. I don't care. I care about Nintendo and how they are successful. So that's kind of my fear, is that if that these games just get stuck on Xbox, well, then there's a bunch of games that Nintendo won't get, and either Nintendo's going to have to create their own IP again for more stuff, or they need to at least lock down one of these companies just to say, imagine if they would buy Activision, and all of a sudden every Call of Duty that came out was only on Nintendo. Well, Call of Duty is a big franchise, covers a lot of grounds, and types of games that Nintendo doesn't typically do on their own. I'm just saying, that's kind of my concern, that I'm afraid Nintendo would be losing out on those type of games and whatnot. But
the gaming landscape is constantly evolving. So what Xbox was going the typical route that we're used to, like the more traditional gaming route, and that wasn't really playing out for them as well as they had hoped. So what has been different over the past few years is their ability to share their IPs, and they're not so focused on having their IPs be restricted to their platform. They just want to get the Xbox brand out there. They just want to make money, basically, and that was their way of doing it, by putting Microsoft IPs on the Switch and sometimes on maybe even PlayStation, PC. I don't know. I don't know anything outside of Nintendo.
So Game Pass come to the Switch?
Yeah, I could see that for sure. They just want to make money.
I know that was rumored.
Yeah, they're just chasing money. So if it's going to make them money and they're not going to suffer any losses from it, either short term or long term, they're going to do it. So I'm thankful that this current landscape is very friendly and open. I don't know if it's going to stay like that, but if they're going to see that this openness and sharing of IPs will bring them money, they're going to keep doing it until it doesn't. So we'll see. I'm with you, Jacob, and I do worry about the future of it. But for right now, it seems like this openness is really working in their favor, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, it's a good setup right now. Like we said with Phil Spencer there, it's just scary that if it fell into the wrong hands, it could go horribly wrong. and I don't want to go down that route. So my biggest ultimate fears ever would be that if Nintendo ever got bought, like if Microsoft forked over $10 billion and bought them, I would hate that. I'd probably quit gaming. I mean, seriously. Because
me too.
You don't want a corporation. I don't want Nintendo ever taken over, because Nintendo is the reason that the gaming world even exists today, and they're the ones who are always innovating and pushing it forward and creating new ideas and fun toys and unique things that you look at Sony. They copy Nintendo every generation. They copy them. They put what Nintendo does into their stuff.
They do.
And Microsoft has done the same thing, So Nintendo, as long as they're their own company and they keep thriving and doing their own thing, ultimately I'll be happy. But yeah, it's just a fine line. If this could go really good or this could go really bad. You talked about you don't like subscribing for your favorite games. I mean, that's what Xbox is doing. I mean, they're buying everything like, hey, subscribe to us and we will give you your games. Which we could take away.
Make
just
no
like
mistake,
that.
Nintendo is definitely going to be doing something like that, and in the pretty near future, I believe the current president has basically hinted at that. So I'm not a huge fan of that, but that's just how the industry is. That's where the industry is going, and it's.
I hate that. I want to.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But it's like you have to kind of go with where the industry is going. So you can definitely expect that from Nintendo. Like I said, I hate it, but that's just how it's going to be. But I wouldn't worry about anyone.
That's how you'll compete.
Yeah, I mean that's what you got to do. It's just how business is. But I wouldn't worry about Nintendo being bought out because they're worth $85 billion. So I can't think of any company that could afford that.
That's gonna hurt.
Or would want to. So, if $7 billion was a huge purchase for Microsoft, I wouldn't worry about $85 billion being dished out from them.
I don't think old Bill Gates wants to sign $85 billion over.
Yeah. So don't worry about that just yet.
Josh, sorry, I know Chris and I have been talking back and you haven't really been able to chime in here. So, I mean, give us your side. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, with Bethesda in particular, not to back up too far, I don't feel like that's one that is going to directly impact Nintendo all that much. Honestly, I like a decent bit of what Bethesda puts out. I don't play all of it, but I think there's some good stuff there. But a lot of it is also sort of made around the more powerful systems, like the newer Dooms, the Fallouts, and things like that. Shoots, a lot of those didn't even come to Switch, but if they do come to Switch, they're always like that they don't look as good as the original versions do on the other systems and things like that. So I think this might actually be good for those games in particular, so they can just focus on one system. They don't even have to worry about, hey, we got to figure out how to make this work on Xbox and PS4 and then worry about the Switch port. Now they can just build it around the Xbox controller, the Xbox layout, all of that sort of thing, their systems, and just focus on that. If they can still have their own creative control and things like that, and just focus it all into one system, that might be a great thing for it. And like I said, I don't think that will directly affect Nintendo much. Now, some other companies might, like if that would happen. I know the big rumor that everybody's been hearing is they're going after Sega next. I don't personally believe it, but again, I didn't see this happening. They did say, I think they said they had an announcement at the Tokyo Game Awards, but then they put out, don't worry, we're not buying up anybody else or something like that. Like they literally said that on Twitter earlier today. But I think someone like Sega is a good example, actually, that would potentially take Sonic, one of the bigger 90s icons, off of Switch and things like that. I think that's where it would start hurting.
It's side note on that. I heard someone say in a discussion that if they bought Sega, it'd be great, so they could have like a mascot, more mascots up next to like their Halo. Because when you show Xbox, they show Master Chief, and then like they don't have any IP, so like they still have like their Forza car like right next to Master Chief because they don't have stuff to show off, which it irks me because I'm like, yes, you do. You have all of Rare's IP that you have just let waste away on a shelf. So Banjo-Kazooie should be right up there with Master Chief.
Those.
Oh yeah.
honestly.
That's great, and that's what could happen to something like a company that has like the more kid-friendly mascots. Because look what happened to Rare. They'll slap Banjo-Kazooie merchandise out and things like that, but they don't actually make any games or do anything with them. They haven't.
You know what they did with the difference between with the Rare purchase and with Bethesda? What they've said with Bethesda is they don't plan to interfere. They just bought them like, all right, just keep doing what you do. We just sign your paychecks now, and it's back when the Rare days, they bought Rare and they literally went in and they cleaned house almost, and they're like, hey, we want you to do this, and they wanted you to. They just gutted the company. They gutted the Rare that we loved, and that's why Rare was no longer. That's why they're not who they used to be today, and they don't touch those IPs, and it's sad that that's what happened to Rare. I mean, it really is. I imagine we would have had more Rare-like stuff. They would have been allowed to do it, but it was different leadership at Xbox back then. Bill wasn't there. If Rare was bought out today like that, I bet you they would have the same, like, hey, keep doing what you do, like Bethesda, just do it for us. That was a side note.
I don't think another thing on that. I don't see Nintendo being the kind that would. I could be wrong, but that would be chasing all these other third parties. Like Microsoft's like, all right, let's buy up a few of them. I don't think Nintendo would do it. Like when they had the chance to buy Rare, even again, this is a decade and a half ago. Rare even thought they were going to do it, like to fully purchase them, so to speak. I don't know the proper terms for it, and they didn't. They just kind of let Rare sit there after all Rare did for them. And Microsoft swooped in and took them instead. So it's
Nintendo.
So they might not want to go out and buy Sega or someone that I think would be a particularly good one for them to own, and kind of poetic. And maybe that's just a little bit of that '90s kid in me.
Yeah. I just don't get it. I mean, Nintendo could, like Platinum Games and Toei Tecmo. Koei
Tecmo, something like that.
Saying it backward. Like I've heard, like if Nintendo purchased, like they're really close with both of those companies. They're super close. They could totally buy those two up and make them for them. I just don't understand. I guess I'm not the business guy. I just don't understand it. But like they let Rare go, and then they let a company, Retro, who at that point literally hadn't even made a single game. And they're just like, oh, we're going to invest in Retro over here. And they made Metroid Prime, which it was amazing. But, like, they let somebody who literally gave their 64 its life. I mean, I would argue that 64 would have sucked, ultimately, if Rare was not making games
pretty
for
much.
it. And they let them go, and then they just purchased this unknown company that was brand new. It was a beta at the time. And I just don't get Nintendo's approach or their mindset and like why they do what they do with that stuff.
Well, there's been a lot of stuff surfacing about that whole situation, both Retro, like, them buying Retro or working closely with Retro, and not deciding not to purchase Rare. There's a lot of different theories behind that make a lot of sense. Obviously, I mean, I bought my GameCube for Rare games. I was like, I love my N64. I am ready to go with GameCube. Let's do this. Give me Banjo-Kazooie 3. And I was so disappointed, obviously. But that's all. I could go on and on about that. But, Rare obviously got bought by Microsoft. That's just what happened. But while that sucked, and I think they made some horrible decisions from that, I think they've learned that, letting companies do what they do best and not really being too predatory, for lack of a better word, it just doesn't pay off. So the fact that they did do that with Rare, and that a lot of people got annoyed about it, some good did kind of come out of that, because a lot of the best employees left the company. Can't really do much about that. And they went on to make some great side projects of their own, including Yooka-Laylee and The Impossible Lair, which is a game that I know all three of us love. And that game would not exist had they kept going with Rare. And who knows, maybe if Nintendo
Right.
bought them, maybe some bad stuff would have come out of that in its own way too. So
Right.
good things do happen even during crappy situations, and maybe this is going to happen
For
with
sure.
Bethesda too, where they just are not happy with how things are going, and they make their own side projects, and it becomes a huge hit. But so
right.
it's not this like everything's going to be horrible. You never know. You just have to pay attention and look at these other things that might be branching out from these situations. But something I just wanted to bring up real quick is that Josh mentioned that Bethesda brought their games to the Switch, and they look a little. They don't look as good as their console counterparts, obviously. But I have to say, I bought Doom about 2 weeks ago. I am blown away by how good that game looks on the Switch. It literally looks like a PlayStation 4 game on the Switch. I cannot
Awesome.
believe how amazing that game looks. There's so much detail in all these small animations, and if you would have told me that this is the Switch version, not the PlayStation 4 version, I would not believe you. It just looks so good. So that is a very talented company, and props to
Awesome.
Microsoft for getting them. But I do hope that Nintendo buys companies that they are close with, such as the Pokemon Company, because the Pokemon Company is technically independent, and they could go to Sony potentially. So they.
Oh, that would be.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be a punch to the balls.
It could happen. It could happen. They're like.
It absolutely
And
would.
Sony could buy them. You never know. So I hope they know what they're doing with that, and some of these other companies that they work close with. So, yeah.
I would be pulling out my checkbook right away. I got word that Sony was going to be buying
Yeah.
them.
I would not for Pokemon,
I don't
but yeah,
think
that would be
Nintendo
bad.
One of their biggest franchises,
I'm saying
period, and the one franchise that brought them to this meteoric success, in the early 2000s, and still to this day, people bought a Switch for Pokemon Sword and Shield. I wasn't one of them, but a lot of people
sorry.
did that. So, yeah.
It's insane. I mean, it's insane that what Pokemon alone does. I mean, it sells just as big as
Yep.
Mario, if not
Yep.
better. I mean, I don't understand you, Nintendo. Just lock that crap down. I don't know. Maybe that's part of the business. Maybe they feel so tight that that would never happen. But
All right, so if you all are not following us yet, of course, on social media, one of the first places you can find us on Twitter is, I'm looking it up right now because I always get it confused. It's at Nintendo_NOS. It is not a dot. There is that, and of course you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. We have our Facebook group there, the Nintendo Nostalgia Chat, so to speak. We're always in there dropping a bunch of stuff. Try not to run my mouth too much in there because I'm always posting all kinds of random goofy stuff. Outside of that, I guess for myself, you can find me also on Twitter at Whopper744Games. Got the streaming thing going with at Whopper744, or I'm sorry, Twitch /Whopper744. All of that good stuff. I really appreciate you guys if you come check me out on there sometime.
awesome. Chris, what about you? Where can people find you?
You can find me on our Nintendo Nostalgia Facebook page. Sometimes I'm posting pretty dumb conversation topics. Otherwise, you can sometimes see me chatting with Josh and Ryan in their streams, so you can look forward to that.
Awesome. Yeah, and you can find me at Nosh Jacob73. I'm on Twitter. I'm tweeting a lot more again and whatnot. So if you want to follow me, you can. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening to another episode with us here. And we know it's not our traditional format, but we will be back next week playing with some more power, talking about some more of our traditional topics. Have a good one.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Later, Preston.